Welcome to episode 4 of The Final Whistle. I'm Drew Zeigler. I'm joined by James Gougosis. This week we've got some great football games in the NFL, including close ones and blowouts, and also some college football, and including the classic Red River rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma. But first up, the NFL in London. Jaguars upset the Bills 25-20. Your pick, actually, from last week, so great pick by you. Trevor Lawrence threw for over 300 yards and one touchdown. He hasn't been throwing many touchdowns recently, but he's been getting the job done, and they've been getting in the win column. But Travis Etienne, he was the story. 130-plus rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen also had a great game, but he couldn't lead his team to the win with over 350 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, just overall great win for the Jaguars. I think they put everything together, holding the Bills to just 20 points after they just put up 48. And then the offense really clicking. We haven't really seen that. Trevor Lawrence has been showing that it's just good overall win for the Jaguars.
Yeah, Jaguars did enough, especially on defense, to win the game, holding the Bills to 20 points and keeping Stephon Diggs frustrated on the sideline as well. And on Sunday night, just an absolute blowout. 49ers destroy the Cowboys 42-10. Brock Purdy, just great game. 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to George Kittle. And George Kittle only had 3 catches, but they were all touchdowns. And the 49ers defense forced 3 Prescott interceptions in that game.
Yeah, it's just a statement win for the 49ers. I think everybody knew they were the best team in the league, but to blow Cowboys out by 32, just unbelievable job by the Cowboys defense. the 49ers defense. 3 straight Dak Prescott interceptions, and then George Kittle, 3 touchdowns. And they have so many weapons on offense. It's really difficult to stop them.
And at the top of the league, it seems like there's a tier, 49ers and Eagles, but I would even put the 49ers in a tier for themselves. They just have almost the best player at every position almost on offense, skill position, and Brock Purdy looks like a top quarterback in the league, and Kyle Shanahan as coach doesn't hurt. And the Chiefs beat the Vikings 27-20. I picked the Vikings as an upset, almost happened. Had a chance at the end for a Hail Mary, but Kirk Cousins couldn't even throw it off. And Mahomes had an all right game, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kelsey had a touchdown after leaving the game with an injury, almost a concern, but not as much. And Justin Jefferson, just the story of the game, despite the Vikings' loss, put on IR with a hamstring injury.
It's just a huge blow for the Vikings. He's their entire offense, and when you don't have the best player on your team, it's difficult to win games, especially after a tough 1-4 start. But I think the bigger story, maybe not bigger, but also big story, is the Chiefs, I guess, getting bailed out by the refs again at the end of the game. There were like 3 flags in the play, and they were all wiped off because the ball was apparently tipped at the line, even though it wasn't. So, if the Vikings were able to score, put the game in overtime, and then win the game, you go from 1-4 with Justin Jefferson on the IR to at least 2-3, having a win against one of the best teams in the league and having actually some momentum. But now they just have no momentum.
Yeah, this has now been several games this year already. The Chiefs have been bailed out by refs. L'Jarius Sneed took his helmet off, which is a flag. There was an illegal hands to the face, and they removed a pass interference flag. And I don't really know how you pick up flags like that. Either stick with your call or don't throw it at all, or at least bring the challenge back to the pass interference penalties, but they don't want to slow down the game, and that would definitely do that. And the Steelers, our last NFL game, a bit of a slow game. Steelers beat the Ravens, though, 17-10, coming back at the end, and Joey Porter Jr., first-round pick, intercepted Lamar Jackson at the goal line and prevented the Ravens coming back. And the Ravens were actually in the lead at that point and extending their lead. And George Pickens on a go route just beat Marlon Humphrey, just speed, and he catches the touchdown, the game winner, with a minute left in the game.
It was a huge win for the Steelers. Everybody wants Matt Canada gone, which he probably should be gone, but if you're a Steelers fan, you always got to be happy when you beat the Ravens. Defense put up a show, though, against a really tough offense in the Ravens. I think the defense is the big story here. Joey Porter Jr. has quietly been one of the best cornerbacks in the last draft class with Christian Gonzalez out for the season. He's really becoming that guy, the top corner that happens in every draft, and he brings so much to the Steelers defense. If the Steelers are going to win games this season, it's going to be because of the defense.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson got his big contract, but he hasn't been playing at his MVP level that he normally is. And the Steelers, ever since they've had Mike Tomlin for what seems like forever, it seems like they always win these types of games. And these are the games that get you into the playoffs and make you a contender. But Kenny Pickett hasn't been great, but he's getting the teams to win, and we can only hope for him to improve. And that will do it for our NFL segment of Week 5. And when we come back, we'll get our favorite picks for Week 6. So now our favorite picks for Week 6. Our standings actually first. You're 41-20. I'm 39-22 overall in the year. We both went 8-5 last week. Not a great week for us, but hopefully we can improve next week. And our games of the week, you've got the Cowboys at the Chargers. Cowboys in another primetime game, and we'll see if they can change what happened from last week.
Yeah, it's an important game for both teams, obviously, but especially for the Cowboys, how they're going to bounce back. Micah Parsons saying on his podcast that, next time they play the 49ers, it's not going to be 42-10, but now you got to play the Chargers in SoFi Stadium, who's a very good team. You just got to wonder what type of Chargers team is coming out there. If their A game's coming, the Cowboys might be in some trouble, and these are the games you expect the Cowboys to win as that one of the top teams in the NFC. So I'm wondering how the Cowboys are gonna come out.
Yeah, this is a big game for both teams. Justin Herbert and the Chargers coming off a bye. Herbert had a little finger injury, but I'm sure he'll be fine to go in this game. And my game of the week, I've got the Lions at Bucks, both two good NFC teams, and I've got an upset in this one. I think the Bucks are gonna win this game, and I just don't think the Lions are going to go into Tampa Bay and be able to take this one. The Bucs have been playing really well. They're coming off a bye, and Baker Mayfield has looked pretty good, to be honest. And your upset of the week, you've got actually the Chargers beating the Cowboys. And why do you think the Chargers are going to win this?
I especially after the Cowboys coming off, getting embarrassed, I think the Chargers are going to come out offensively and put up a lot of points on the Cowboys defense to really frustrate them. The offense is so dangerous, especially with Austin Eckler coming back, or he should be coming back. I think Austin Eckler is going to have a day, and I think he's going to lead the Chargers to a win.
Could be getting their star players back from injury, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, and Austin Eckler, and that's huge, obviously, for this team. And now last lock of the week, you've got the Seahawks plus 2.5 versus the Bengals. Seahawks, you think, are going to Cincinnati and possibly win the game, but at least cover the spread.
Yeah, I actually think they're going to win this game. I think the defense is going to come up clutch. I think even though the Bengals had a really offensive breakout last week, I think the Seahawks are really going to come out with a statement win. I think Geno Smith's going to lead the team to a win. Yeah,
the Bengals have looked good this last week with the against the Cardinals. Obviously, Jamar Chase, just what a game. 15 catches, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. Doesn't get better than that. And my lock of the week, I've got the Falcons minus 2.5 versus the Commanders. In these pick'ems, I've been picking the Falcons a lot, actually. I think the Falcons, they always keep the game close, and they've always got a chance to win with their running attack, obviously. And now we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about college football. And now we're back, and our first NCAA college football game, just absolutely berserk that this just happened. Number 17 Miami loses to Georgia Tech 23-20. All they had to do was take a kneel, and the game would be over. But instead, they run the ball, running back fumbles, and Georgia Tech runs it back. It doesn't run it back, but they get the ball, and they get a deep touchdown to end up winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is so bad, honestly. I mean, Miami's a great team, don't get me wrong, and Mario Cristobal is a great coach, but that's a fireable offense right there. There's no way you run a play when you could just kneel the ball and then fumble the ball and then lose the game to a very bad Georgia Tech team. And the funniest part is it wasn't even a fumble. His knee was down, but I mean, if I was a Miami fan, I would just be calling to get everybody fired. That's one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not. That's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah, that is just craziness. I'm not even sure how you managed to let that happen. I can't even talk about it. I don't know how you don't take a kneel. And number 9 USC barely escapes with the win against Arizona 43-41 in overtime. Wasn't Caleb Williams' best game despite putting 43 points up on the board. Only had 200 yards and a touchdown. And the defense also struggled, obviously giving up 41 points and 450 plus yards, but they still come away with the win.
Yeah, this is 3 straight weeks where USC isn't really blowing out the teams. Now that conference play is starting, obviously the teams are going to get better, but the defense is really bad, and that's a huge concern. I know they got offensive weapons, obviously reigning Heisman winner Caleb Williams, but if you don't have a good defense, every game's going to be close, and we've seen it for 3 straight weeks. Now they got a really tough schedule coming up, Oregon and Washington down the road. I expect the USC to lose a couple of those games. I don't think they're gonna win the Pac-12 this year.
Yeah, obviously not in as strong of a conference as other teams, and they keep a little bit falling down the rankings each week, and they'll have to make some big statement wins to get back into that college football playoff position. And now the best game of the week, number 12 Oklahoma goes into number 3 Texas and they win 34-30 in the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, Red River rivalry is one of my favorite games of the year. I feel like it always produces a great game, and because obviously both teams usually don't have great defenses, but this year Oklahoma's defense is legit. And I know they gave up 30 points, but they picked off Quinn Ewers twice in the first quarter, and that really set the tone for the game. And Dylan Gabriel's game-winning drive was really a statement. I think that really propels him as a Heisman candidate. This Oklahoma team is dangerous. This is the first Oklahoma team we've seen in a really long time where they have that elite defense and also have an elite offense. Obviously, I think Texas and Oklahoma will play in the Big 12 championship game, and I believe that game will determine which team goes into the college football playoff.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel on that final drive, less than a minute to go, just perfect execution on the drive, no missed throws, and he drove his team down what seemed to be easily. And Quinn Ewers, quarterback for Texas in that game, 2 early interceptions, rebounded with 350 yards, but you can't make those mistakes if you want your team to win these types of games. Every drive counts. And we've also got some great Week 6 games coming up, a Pac-12 matchup also, Oregon at Washington, USC at Notre Dame, and UCLA at Oregon State. So a couple of Pac-12 games. And what's your favorite of those?
I think Oregon-Washington is going to be one of the best games of the year. Washington's offense, best in the country, I think easily. Oregon's offense is very good too. I think it'll just be a high-scoring game. And I think because Washington's home in front of that home crowd, I think Washington's going to pull out with a win. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, probably like 49-42 or something like that.
Yeah, a couple of Heisman candidates in this game, highlighting Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. And we'll see. I think those two are duking it out for the game, for the Heisman. And that's going to do it for our college football segment and this episode overall. Next week, we'll talk about the MLB Championship Series and the NHL season getting underway.